Alright, today you're going to learn how to play Blackbird by the Beatles. I'm just going to play the riffs, the main riffs throughout the song. They're all repeated a bunch, so I'm not going to go through it all step by step, but I'll teach you all the riffs you need to know, and then you'll have to figure out the rest, like which order they go in and all that stuff. So, starting out with the intro, this is probably the most repeated riff of the song. Before I show you, you have to get in mind that you'll be plucking, for the most part, you'll be plucking two strings and then the open G string as an alternate, like alternating between plucking the two strings and then the G string. So, that being said, the first one you start out on is the 3rd fret of the low E string and the open B string, and then open G string, and then 1st fret of the B string, and now you go down to the A string as your bass note, open G string again, and then you put your pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the A string and your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and then open G string, slide down to the 10th and 12th frets. You should try to slide this as you're picking the open G string. That way you have more time. And then you do this little picking pattern. That's probably the trickiest part right there, is getting this down and getting it to sound right. I'll try to play it like this. It's a little tough, but here goes. What you want to do is pick, drag, so work on that for a little bit and make sure you have it down, because you'll be using that little pattern a lot. And after you do that, that's the whole intro. Let's recap and show you what it sounds like. And that takes you right into the verse, and for the first line of the verse you just repeat the intro. So at the start of the song you're just going to play that little riff twice, and here's the 2nd line of the verse. Start out with on the 3rd and 5th frets of the A and B strings, open G string. Then this is kind of a stretch, so 4th fret right here on the A string, 8th fret on the B string, and then 5th and 7th, and then another stretch, 6, 10. And then your finger should already sort of be in the right area, but make sure it gets on the 7th and 8th fret of the A and B strings. And then you do that little pattern that we did before. And then before repeating it, you got to move your finger up to the 6th fret. So again, the first line of the verse is, and the 2nd line starts off on the 5th and 7th frets. Then do that stretch again between the 4 and 8. And then move to the 3rd and 5th and do that little pattern. 3rd and 4th. 2nd and 3rd. Open and 2nd. Open and 1st. Only this time your bass isn't going to be the A, it's going to be the D. So every time you fret down the 1st fret on the B string, your bass note is the open D string instead of the open A string. And then you just go back to the 3rd fret on the low E string. And that's the end of the verse. That's all the verse is right there. I'll play it one time through so you can hear it.
If
if you're having trouble making these stretches, this is an alternative way to play it. I'll show you how it's regularly played so you know what I'm talking about. An alternative would be this. It doesn't require stretching, and it still sounds pretty much the same. If you want to get it exactly as the song's played, I would work on getting the stretches because it'll help you become a better player. But if you're just trying to get the song down and you're getting frustrated, this is what you do. You start out on the 3rd and 5th, like you normally would, and then move down to the 7th and 8th, and then back up to the 5th and 7th, and then you go down to the 9th and 10th, and then you go back up to the 7th and 8th like you normally would. After you get done playing that first verse, there's a little filler. It starts out on the 3rd and 5th frets, open G string, move down to the 2nd and 3rd, open in 2nd, do the pattern, open in 1st, remember to make your bass string the D string, and then the very first chord. So again, that fill is. Okay, here's the chorus. I'm just gonna play only the parts that you need to know. I'm not gonna repeat anything for simplicity's sake. So here it goes. Here's the very first line of the chorus. Start out on the 8th and 10th frets, 7th and 8th, 5th and 6th, 3rd and 5th, 1st and 3rd, do the pattern, 3rd and 5th, and then start over. And the only difference this time is instead of going from the 1st and 3rd to back to the 3rd and 5th, you go from the 1st and 3rd to the open and 2nd to the open and 1st. So I'll play, here's the second line of the chorus. And then you start, this takes you right into the rest, where you start the verse riff right back up again. So this riff. At one point in the song it goes straight from this into this repeating still. In the background, birds are chirping. You can omit this from the song if you don't feel like drawing it out and you don't have special bird sound effects to put in the background, or you can play it if you like. And then after you repeat this for a bunch of time, you do this little riff. Start out on the 3rd fret of the low E string and open B string, and do your normal pattern. And then go to the 3rd and 5th, and then back down, and then it goes right into the verse. Once you've got the mechanics of the song down, playing each riff, you know how to play each riff perfectly, I'd work on memorizing which parts come after what, because that's a little confusing. That's probably the hardest part about this song. So get it memorized, play along with the song if that helps, or just follow a tab while you're playing.